Hello, Facebook Live. Hello, good morning, everybody. Marcus here. It is the 19th of May. I think I got sound here. Let me double check and see. Hello, hello. Yep, good. Working with these new microphones and doing a lot of recording lately. Just want to make sure my sound, if you can hear me, just drop a comment and say loud and clear, or give me thumbs up if you can hear me. Notification just went out that I am live, so we should be getting some people tuning in here in a moment. Hopefully, that's the plan. So, good morning, Joel. Joel, can you hear me? If you can hear me, that'd be great. Of course, I always want to check the microphones. I'm having problems lately with the microphones. I prefer to use the microphones because I think it's better sound quality, but I just have to tweak the levels and everything. And we're having a problem setting up. We're having problems setting up both microphones. Jamie and I record sometimes together, and so we needed to create an aggregate device. It's called an aggregate device. That is two microphones, one recognition that then goes into GarageBand and all the other audio inputs in here. So it took 2.5 hours the other day on the phone with Apple to figure that out. For some reason, there was a glitch somewhere. Got it figured out, and there still is a glitch, but I just have to reset it every time, and it works. So that's the story of that. So it is the 19th of May. It's going to be 82 degrees here in New York today. 82 is the forecast. I can't wait. That's exciting. It is Wednesday. Got a couple things going on today. Tasting some wine this afternoon. With a new company that we've never done business with before. And the reason we've never done business before with them is because we didn't like the salesperson. We didn't like the salesperson. We didn't trust the salesperson. We knew the salesperson from a previous company where this person had worked many, many years ago. And just don't like the salesperson. Like the wine portfolio. So finally, when you have all these wineries and your friends wineries, when they switch to certain companies, and all of a sudden there's more and more wines in this company now, and I'm like, gee, I really want to buy these wines again. There's a few wines that I really want in the portfolio, especially Don Figley, the distillery out of Washington D.C., Anthony Road. There's a few really goodies in this portfolio. So I called the sales manager. I said, he goes, oh, I know your restaurant. I go, the reason I've never called you to do business is I don't like the salesperson. He goes, well, I have two salespeople in the Hudson Valley now. I said, perfect. I'll take the one I don't know. And so that person's coming here today. So we don't, if you've been watching any of our stuff, you know that for us doing business with people is we have to like the people. It's just not that. And I told a story about a restaurant owner that I know of that hated the one brewery owner. Hated him. But when the guy started making good beer, he started buying his beer. And that's not us, folks. We are we're the real deal. The food we serve here at the restaurant is the food we gave to our family, our kids growing up. It's a food I gave to my parents. It's not we don't have double standards, and I'm very proud of that. Yesterday I made a phone call yesterday to a vineyard in California. I've not had this lady's wines in we haven't had her wine on our wine list since 2007, 2008 maybe. A long time ago, right? 12, 13 years ago. And I called, very small winery. I mean, you go on her website and the Cabernet, she makes like 120 cases. That's it. This particular other Cabernet, she might make 400 cases. If she's making 1,000 cases of wine a year, that's it. I mean, that's it. You go to Napa Valley, you don't even know she exists because she's off the beaten path. And so I called her and I said, Sandy? She goes, yes. I go, Sandy, it's Marcus Guiliano from Aromatime. I go, and I didn't think she'd remember. And I go, the last time I saw you was 2009, and we were in your garage, and then we went to your front porch, and you poured wine out of into a beaker, into like one of those chemistry beakers. You decanted it, and we drank wine on a pallet in your garage, and then went to your front porch and sat down and enjoyed a glass of wine. She goes, how's your wife, Jamie? Like, she knew exactly like who we were. And she's like, and I've smoked with her since 2009. She goes, how's your wife, Jamie? How's everything? How's great? My wine's not in New York. Well, it is in New York. It's not in New York, but I said, well, let's do business again. I'd love to do business. So her and I got reconnected yesterday, and so for us, doing business is all about having friends, creating friends, and creating relationships. So that's the fun part of our business. And I think I've explained this before, but our social life, like all the friends we know, have come through the restaurant, and it's fantastic. Really, really awesome. All the amazing people that we've met here since 2003. So good morning, everybody tuning in. Marcus here. It's the 19th of May, and I want to talk about lobster. Because lobster's in a serious situation, price wise. And there's so many foods right now that are just going through these all time highs, all time spikes. Um, Cooking oil. There's a lot of restaurants complaining about cooking oil right now, and they're like, I'm paying $38 for cooking oil. I've always paid $80 for cooking oil because we buy this organic expeller pressed sunflower oil that's local, and our salad oil is $119 for the same size that other places are paying $20 for. So these restaurants are crying like, we're paying all this money. We figured out how to make money paying 3-4 times the price to begin with, so we're okay. A lot of our stuff isn't affected the same way other restaurants are being affected. Our organic chicken wings, certified organic chicken wings, they've barely gone up in price. They've gone up a little bit, but they haven't tripled like other people's wings. So that's a good thing about it. And I was speaking to one of the distributors yesterday, the salespeople, Michael, and he goes, Marcus, it's crazy. He goes, we have all these people that are calling us now that would never give us a time of day before. They never give us a time of day before because they thought that our organic stuff, our free range, or this or that was too expensive. And they now, because that market's not a commodity market, it's not as much as a commodity market. All the commodity markets are just shooting up. Everything, corn, everything, wheat's going up. But the stuff that grows organically on small productions, they get what they need to get to cover their costs. They don't follow the commodity market like these other farms do, like these other big massive producers. So they have to raise their price a little bit because obviously fuel costs more and this and that, but they're not following the standard market. So their prices don't fluctuate that much. Their prices pretty much stay the same year round. So he was like, Marcus, people are like trying to buy all this organic stuff now because the organic stuff is actually cheaper than a lot of the conventional stuff out there. Like the organic wings are cheaper than factory farmed plumped wings. And he goes, I have to turn people away because it's people like you that are our customers and have been our customers for a decade that I can't say no to. He goes, but we would sell out of everything instantly if I did business with all these other companies. He goes, and I know it's going to happen. I would piss you off because you couldn't get product from us, and then in 6 months or a year from now when the price drops, they're going to ditch us anyway and stop using the organic and go right back to the conventional because the conventional is going to be cheaper at some point soon. He goes, so I can't really sell to these people because it's not a good situation. Last year when the pandemic hit in April, we were a little upset at Bread Alone. Bread Alone's a great company too. We love their bread. But we were a little upset with them because they kept opening new accounts and new accounts and new accounts during the pandemic. And they couldn't service us. They kept shorting us on bread. So our bread kept getting shorted. And it's like the driver would say to me, what's this address? I'm like, looking at him like, has you ever been there? He's like, no. I'm like, well, that's, wherever. This happened like 4 or 5 times. He's like, they asked me, where's this place at? What is this place? And I'm like, you've never, he goes, no, it's a new account. It was new account after new account after new account. The driver's asking me, like, where's this at? Where's this going? And I was like, and my bread's being shorted because you're opening up new accounts. That's not the right way to treat guests. And I actually went to Hawthorne Valley because they have a great bread program in Hawthorne Valley. I looked at Hawthorne Valley's organic biodynamic bread program, and there were a couple other programs we looked at because I felt that Bread Alone should not be opening new accounts and not being able to service their existing accounts. And I don't feel that's right. And then they even went into one of the other companies we use in New York City, Baldor, which is an independent company, but they have 300 trucks on the road. They decided to start selling to them, and their supply. And Bread Alone just couldn't keep up. They couldn't keep up. And I love their products, and Dan's a great guy, and they donate every year to our soup kitchen, and they stand for everything we believe. But I just didn't feel that was a good move, and we let them know that. And they say, hey, you can't do this. And the other salesman that I spoke to yesterday understands it. Hey, no, you can't do this. You've been my customer for 10 years. You're my client for 10 years. I'm not going to piss you off by shorting you on products because these other guys that don't care anything about organic, they're just buying price right now, price based. So that's a situation. So Joel, the price did go up from 228. I was paying 228 for a long time for organic wings, while everybody else was paying $1.60. I was paying 228. That price did go up, but it's not nearly the price of what $4 is a pound now. I mean, some places. Let me go on and look right now and see what cheap wings would cost here. I'm going to log on to. Let's see where I can log on to. Too bad you can't see my screen, because I would show you. Let's see. I have an account with Restaurant Depot. Let's see if I can log on and figure out what I barely use this site. And let's see. Okay, in Newburgh. Let's see. It's loading here. But the cheap, like, Mountain Air wings or whatever, we were talking about that yesterday, the salesman and I, from this other company, continuous Marcus, we're saying, how expensive the cheap wings are, that are usually, the really inexpensive commodity wings. I already signed in. Oh, yeah, there we go. In-store meats and seafoods. So, by the way, right now, when we're talking about lobster and the situation with lobster, because lobster meat right now, we usually pay $22 to $24 a pound for lobster meat, which is knuckle and claw meat. That's what we make our lobster mac and cheese with. It's normally $22 to $24 a pound. It's $40 a pound right now for lobster meat. So I'm going to talk about what's happening with our lobster mac and cheese. Jumbo party wings, IQF frozen. No, let's see. Here, wings. If they even have wings. Yeah, $4 a pound. $4 a pound. I paid less for certified organic yesterday. Certified organic, I paid less. This is here's $4.15 a pound for these other wings there, and these are again these are bottom of the barrel commodity wings that are plumped with a sodium solution, like all chicken. I did a test once. Where I took cheap chicken and I pouched it in a pouch and sous vide it, sealed it, cryovac it, and then we put it into water next to the chicken that we buy. And I did this test, and I even showed this. This was well over a year ago. I even showed this online. And after it was cooked, we pulled the pouch, and you could see the chicken breast, how it cooked and shrunk, and all of the liquid that came out of the chicken breast. When you're putting chicken breast on a grill or meat on a grill, you don't see what you're really losing because it evaporates. But when you pouch it, and none of the moisture can leave, all of it's trapped in there. So we literally took this and, well, this I think when my parents were alive, I did this. Maybe after my parents, the best way. But I was cooking chicken for the dogs, for the two border collies, and so we pouched this chicken. I cooked it, and I was like, never again will I buy this chicken for the dogs. I figured, I was getting some chicken. I bought some chicken. I said, never again will I buy. My mom used to go to Peter's Market. And she used to get all the scraps. The butcher there would save her the scraps for years of all the chicken. My mom would take it home and take the fat off and take the scrap and cook it and grind it up for the dogs. And the dogs ate that for years. And Baxter, the border collie, one of the border collies, is 16 years old right now. 16 years old, and he acts like a puppy. He runs around. His back to, is it his Achilles or something? No, not Achilles. That's in humans only, I think, right? Some two of his ligaments or tendons back there are kind of shot because he's just he's been running around his whole life. So and Courtney has him on MSM and some other strengthening supplements, but he still runs around. He's 16 years old. I could take him out now and he'd run 5K with me. He'd run 3 miles with me, no problem. Right now, he's a 16-year-old dog. Courtney just had him put under for do dental work. They don't put dogs under that are that old under anesthesia like that. His blood work came back impeccable, and my mom just cooked these dogs real food for years. So after they passed away, I said, okay, I got some chicken. I think I had bought it. I forgot where I bought it. Maybe at Emerson Depot. I think I picked up a case of chicken, and the separation of the water from the breast was insane. The moisture, and the dogs actually got sick from it. The one dog had diarrhea, terrible, and it was from that chicken. I switched chickens and had bought a better expensive brand of chicken, better quality brand of chicken, and the dog stopped having diarrhea. But the dog was having diarrhea from, we assumed it was from that chicken. So yeah, so the bottom of the barrel cheap wings right now at Restaurant Depot, aka Restaurant Cheapo, are $4 a pound. $4 a pound. It's crazy. So, lobster. This brings us to lobster, with this title. This video is about lobster. And by the way, thanks everybody for tuning in. If you're tuning in live, drop a comment, hashtag live. If it's on the replay, hashtag replay. If you're on YouTube, you are on the replay. Let's see. So, sorry. Lobster meat went from $22 to $24 a pound for knuckle and claw meat, which is what we use for our lobster mac and cheese, and it went to $40 a pound. It's $40 a pound, and the one distributor. In fact, I just did a search at Restaurant Depot here. I typed that in as well, and there's none even available at Restaurant Depot. Our main distributor, who sells this, Chef's Warehouse, has none in stock, zero in stock. So why do we have it on our menu? How do we have it? Because I knew the price was going up. I saw it was happening on the live lobster market, and I stocked up. It was a very, very expensive thing to stock up on, but we stocked up on frozen lobster meat. I don't have much frozen lobster meat left. It comes frozen. I don't have much left, but I have enough for probably another 2 weeks of lobster mac and cheese. What we're hoping is the season's open. In Nova Scotia right now, the boats are going out to catch lobster. Salmon season's open in Alaska too. The boats are going out to catch lobsters. But there's such a big demand for lobsters. 2020 was really an odd year for everything, right? Especially the lobster market. They had no idea what was going to happen. So they went into lobsters. I don't think they had enough in storage in pounds. So what happens is, in the wintertime, the lobsters go into what's called lobster pounds. Lobster pounds were first developed in Maine in like 1875. This is where you basically catch lobsters and put them into a circulating system with water, and until you need them, you pull them out of there, you keep them alive. So lobster pounds have been around for 150 years. But in the wintertime, they take these lobster pounds, and they put them they're in bays. And it's really crazy because when the ice freezes over, they're out there with chainsaws and circular saws. Like just how you'd go those saws that they cut pavement with, like the street crews, how they're cutting pavement with those push saws. They have the same type of saw in the bays cutting the ice out, and they wait for the high tide to come. They crowbar these huge, massive pieces of rectangular ice. They crowbar them and push them out and get them out, and then the water's open there. And of course, I'm assuming this process has to be repeated and repeated throughout the course of the winter. But in the summertime, they'll catch as much lobsters as they can going into the fall, and they'll put it into the pounds, lobster pounds, because the boats don't go out in rough waters in the wintertime. And that's their source for lobsters all winter. And it all depends on how much they caught the previous year, how the strong season they're going into, and consumer demand for the lobsters it predicts the price. Now, the lobster fishermen are happy, very happy right now. They're going into their best season in 15 years price-wise. That means they're getting the most money per pound right now in over 15 years. It's 15 years since they've gotten these prices. And I said this the other day, I've never seen lobsters this high. Lobsters have really never been this high before. So they're happy. I mean, this is like, oh, wow, this is great. Let's go out and catch. And we're getting paid, we got an instant raise this year. So good for them, but not good for us who want to consume lobsters and or restaurants that are using lobsters. So we're waiting for the new catch, the supply to go past the demand, and have this start happening. In the lobster meat world, the tail and knuckle meat, where you can buy tail and knuckle meat, everything has to go through processing. So you got to process it, package it, have it frozen into a warehouse in Nova Scotia, then shipped to the U.S., right, in Newfoundland, wherever they're processing, whatever part they're processing these lobsters in, shipped to the U.S., then go to a distributor and have enough in stock to catch the supply up again. So this could be a full month lag from when the season actually opened and they started processing. It's not something that just happens right away. A live lobster you ship live and it's there ready to rock and roll. So lobster prices I did see come down about $2 a pound recently from $14 to $12. So which is a good sign that that lobsters are going to drop. So Katrina goes, interesting. I've always wondered how they hold them. That's how they hold them. And they hold them in pounds throughout, not even in the wintertime. They're held in pounds. But in the wintertime, there's no fishing, so they're not going out. In the summertime, it's more of a quick turnover if they have to hold them into a pound, if they're not going to go directly to market. There's a lot will go directly to market. But yeah, in the wintertime, it's pretty cool. You can actually go online and see. I'm sure there's got to be a video on YouTube or something of them cutting. There's like they're out there cutting the pavement, and they're cutting ice out, and the tide comes in, and they're crowbarring these massive, massive rectangles of ice or squares of ice, and the high tide comes in, they crowbar it, and up it floats, and out it goes into the ocean. It's pretty cool. So that's how that's done. Lobster pounds. So we're hoping that lobster will come down back again. Lobster mac and cheese won't be affected, but I think we're gonna have a period of time where we're not gonna have lobster mac and cheese, but we'll do crab mac and cheese. Crab mac and cheese is the next best option to that, so we will do that next. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. By the way, really, really appreciate it. If we have any lobster fans out there, just drop a comment, say lobsters, yes, yum, or yum lobsters, yummy lobsters. I grew up eating lobsters as a kid. I would really be upset when we'd go out to dinner or to. I remember one time, I must have been like 4 years old. We went to Arthur Avenue with my family, my parents and my grandma, and my aunts and uncles. And of course, you can see all the lobsters there. Some of the seafood places had lobsters. Am I gone? Am I gone? Jamie just sent me a message saying I'm gone. No, got a comment, yummy lobsters. Lobsters are the best. Great. So I remember at like 4 years old, you go to those seafood markets there on Arthur Avenue, and the lobster tanks are there. And no, we weren't like buying lobsters. My parents weren't buying lobsters that day, and I got so upset. 4 years old. Isn't anybody going to buy me a crab? I've been a huge lobster fan my whole life. I love lobster. So, all right, that's it. Pretty much it, folks. Been on a while. Jamie and I've started my podcasts again. Jamie and I do our Wine Time Live, which happens once a week. We do a live version that then gets put in audio form and goes up to iTunes and iHeartRadio, anywhere podcasts are distributed. We do that, but then I took about a year off of doing my business podcast called In the Weeds. In the Weeds is back, and first episode is coming back this week. It's already recorded, processed, and Chef on a Mission podcast, which is about health. Restaurants, healthy food, things like that, just inside information, just like what I'm talking to you about like right now, this kind of stuff, all the knowledge that I love to share. The Chef on a Mission podcast is all about that, and that gets distributed across all podcasts as well, Apple, iHeart, iTunes, so whatever they call, Apple calls their distribution. I don't think we're on Spotify yet. I got to check with my assistant and see if we're on Spotify podcasts. Yeah. So just checking messages coming in. So those shows will be back. Those shows will be back. They are back. So stay tuned for those. But the stuff you're watching here on YouTube, on Facebook or YouTube, is the same. A lot of the same content. I just format in a different way to go on there. Joel's asking, are there any mushrooms in the gunks that are good to eat? 100% absolutely there are mushrooms that are fantastic. Morels, we're at the tail end of morel season right now. Morels are everywhere. Chanterelles will come in June. Black trumpets will come in June. We get porcinis throughout the course of the season. The winter time or the fall comes with maitake season, hen of the woods, maitakes. Chicken of the woods will be around for a while. And there's a few other mushrooms. There is a great group on Facebook, the Mid Hudson Mycological, the Mushroom Foundation, or the Mushroom Club group. They're Mid Hudson. Look up Mid Hudson Mushroom, and you'll find them. And everybody's posting and sharing pictures of their foraging efforts. And I do hear that there are some lobster mushrooms in the area. I've never picked a lobster mushroom in the area, but I hear they are. There's definitely rishis, not good to eat, but good for medicinal purposes, and shaga. I picked plenty of shaga in my day. Being on the trails, being a trail runner, and hiking on the trails all the time, I kind of got my spots. I kind of got my spots for the mushrooms, so that I can go back to every year. But I've harvested lots of shaga. Shaga is an amazing immune booster. They use it in alternative cancer treatments, shaga and reishi too. A bunch of different mushroom complexes are used in Japan for cancer, alternative cancer therapies. So rishis grow right here, and so does shaga. Shaga is this fungus that grows basically on birch trees. It protects birch trees. So that's how that works. So yeah, there are some good mushrooms here. Mushrooms grow all over the country. Certain types of mushrooms, and all throughout Europe. So there's a lot of edibles. So the one thing everybody needs to know about mushrooms, interesting thing about mushrooms is all mushrooms. Mushrooms are really a fascinating species. All mushrooms are toxic to a certain extent. Every single one. Mushrooms are a sponge, and they absorb waste products. That's what they grow on. So certain times of the year, there's different waste products out in the wild. If you're getting white button mushrooms, those white mushrooms, they grow on chicken manure, aged chicken manure. I've been in mushroom farms, Rockra in Colorado, 120,000 pounds of mushrooms a week they were growing there. And you can smell the chicken manure for many, many miles away. It's aging, fermenting, doing its thing, decomposing. So you need dead matter to grow mushrooms, which is why maitakes, especially maitakes, will grow around a dead or partially dying oak tree, because it has to have some waste. So the mushrooms come in, they do their thing, they absorb the waste, and that's what they grow. That's how they grow. So all mushrooms have a certain level of toxicity. Certain mushrooms are very toxic and will kill you. Other mushrooms won't kill you, but they're still absorbing dead debris, and this is why there's certain toxicity in every single mushroom that's out there. Not enough to really do any damage to you, but that's the problem. That is the problem with that. So, mushrooms are really fascinating. They grow like in the middle of the night, right? They don't need light. They don't like light. So they'll grow literally overnight. They need moisture, lots of rain, right? So the more it rains, the more mushrooms are out there. So yeah, mushrooms are really cool. I used to pick a lot of morels when I lived in West Virginia, because I lived right next to the state forest, and the stream went right through my yard, and I could just really walk out my door and walk upstream and pick morels, and it was fascinating because I would go in the morning and pick, and then I go back in the afternoon and pick, and I go around the same trees, and all of a sudden I was like, that wasn't here earlier today. That definitely wasn't here yesterday. Definitely not here yesterday. And all of a sudden it's a big morel that I'm picking. So, safest to eat. Well, of course, the ones that are cultivated, Joel, are the safest to eat. Stuff like shiitakes, portobellos, creminis, which is a baby portobello, the white mushrooms. Those are probably the safest ones to eat. I would assume, going to grocery stores, you're not out there picking things in the wild. Yeah, I would not suggest anybody just go pick mushrooms in the wild. You really need to know what you're doing. Being a chef for so many years, I can identify mushrooms much easier than the average person can identify mushrooms. And I'm still not the expert. There are people that are really, really into this and that are much more qualified than I am. However, going into a grocery store and picking up mushrooms in a grocery store are your safest bet to eat mushrooms, to consume mushrooms. So that's the story with that. All right, folks, I've got to get out of here. It's almost 9 o'clock. I've been in the office since 5 5:50 this morning. Got a lot of work done, and everybody have an amazing day. And stay tuned for some other updates later, especially of our tasting later this afternoon at 1 o'clock. I think
we'll probably do a Facebook
Live with that, with some of the good, cool products. And that's it. Everybody have an amazing day. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, everybody, for commenting and engaging. I really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate the support. Our Facebook reach is at an all-time high right now because it's the all-time high. So that is amazing. Thank you, everybody. And that's thanks to you guys. Have a great one, everybody. Talk to you later.